August 11th, 2022. A man walks into a bank with a gun. His name is Bassam Sheikh Hussein. He's not there to rob anyone. He's there to get his own money back. For 6 hours, he holds 7 employees hostage while streaming live on Facebook. He demands $5,500 from his account, money he deposited years ago, money for his father's surgery, money the bank refuses to return.
And they promised me $400 a day and said I would not be detained. I agreed, even though I knew they were liars. I surrendered, but they detained me for 5 days because the bank filed charges against me, and I never received the $400 payments.
When it's finally over and police take him away, the crowd outside doesn't condemn him. They chant his name. They call him a hero. This is the story of how an entire nation's savings vanished, not stolen by criminals, but swallowed by the very institutions people trusted to protect them. And the scariest part? Almost nobody saw it coming. Let's go back to when Lebanon looked like a miracle. After 15 years of brutal civil war, Beirut rebuilt itself into something stunning. The Paris of the Middle East, they called it. Designer boutiques next to ancient mosques, beach clubs overlooking the Mediterranean, a playground for the wealthy and a beacon for Lebanese scattered across the world. And at the heart of it all, the banks. Lebanese banks offered something rare: high interest rates on dollar deposits. 8%, 10%, sometimes even 15%. If you were Lebanese working abroad, and millions were, you sent money home. Your parents put it in the bank. The exchange rate was locked at 1,507 Lebanese pounds to the dollar, and everyone treated that number like a law of physics, unchangeable, eternal. The banks promised it was safe, guaranteed, and backed by a currency pegged to the dollar. For 2 decades, people believed them. But the promise was a lie. And the lie was so big, so carefully constructed, that when it collapsed, it didn't just break. It detonated. Here's what nobody told you when you opened your savings account. Your money wasn't sitting safely in a vault. It was being loaned to the government, and the government was broke. Lebanon's public debt had been growing for decades. By 2019, it reached 150% of GDP, meaning the government owed more than the entire country produced in a year. One of the highest debt to GDP ratios in the world. So how did the system keep running? Through what the World Bank would later call Ponzi-like finance. Here's how it worked. Banks took your deposits and bought government bonds. The government used that money to pay back old bonds to the same banks. New deposits paid for old promises, round and round. As long as fresh money kept flowing in, remittances from workers abroad, tourists spending dollars, foreign investment, the machine kept spinning. Everyone got paid. Everyone stayed calm. The central bank, Banque du Liban, even ran something called financial engineering, complex currency swap operations that paid banks massive returns to keep attracting deposits. It sounded sophisticated, technical, safe. It was none of those things. Think of it like this. Imagine a bucket with holes in the bottom. As long as you pour water in faster than it leaks out, the bucket looks full. But the moment you stop pouring, everyone sees the truth. Lebanon's bucket was about to run dry. On October 17, 2019, the government announces a 20 cents per day tax on WhatsApp calls. It's small, barely worth noticing, but something snaps. Within hours, thousands pour into the streets of Beirut. Within hours, thousands flood downtown Beirut. Within days, hundreds of thousands. Protests spread to every city, every village. People block highways. They camp in public squares. Christians, Muslims, Sunni, and Shiite, divisions that defined Lebanon's politics for decades, suddenly they're all chanting the same thing. All of them means all of them. Every politician, every party leader, the entire system has to go. They weren't just angry about a tax, they were angry about everything. Electricity that cuts out for hours every day, trash piling in the streets because the government can't organize garbage collection, corruption so deep it's part of the culture. The protests became a movement. People blocked highways, they camped in public squares, yet the political class didn't go. They paralyzed. Government formation stalled. Reforms died. But quietly, something else starts happening. Banks begin limiting withdrawals. No official announcement, no law. But people notice. You can only take out a few $100s at a time. Transfers abroad, suddenly blocked. Your savings are still there on paper, the account shows the number, but try to access it and you hit a wall. Then 2020 arrives with two catastrophes. First, COVID-19 shuts down global tourism overnight. Lebanon's hotels, restaurants, and entire sectors gone. The remittances from abroad slow down. The fresh dollars that kept the system alive stop flowing. And then, August 4th, 2020, the Beirut port exploded. $2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate, stored unsafely for years because of corruption and negligence, detonated with the force of a small nuclear bomb. The blast killed over 200 people, injured thousands, destroyed entire neighborhoods. The explosion was so massive it registered as a 3.3 magnitude earthquake. It was heard in Cyprus, 150 miles away, but the damage wasn't just physical. It destroyed the last shred of belief anyone had in the government. If they can't stop a warehouse from exploding in the capital, how can they run an economy? Capital flees. Wealthy Lebanese move their money to Europe, to the Gulf, anywhere but home. The dollars that kept the banks alive dried up completely, and that's when the lie collapsed. March 2020. Lebanon defaults on its foreign debt for the first time in history. The currency peg, the one thing people thought was untouchable, shatters. The official rate stays frozen at £1,507.5 per dollar, but on the street, in the black market where actual transactions happen, the pound goes into freefall. In 2019, £1,500 per dollar. By 2021, £15,000 per dollar. By 2023, over £90,000 per dollar. The Lebanese pound lost 98% of its value. Imagine this, you're a school teacher and you worked for 30 years, saved $50,000 for retirement. One day you go to withdraw it. The bank says, sure, we'll give it to you, in Lebanese pounds, at the official rate. You walk out with a bag of cash that can't buy a month of groceries. That's it. 3 decades of work, gone. Or you're a cafe owner. You have $20,000 saved to buy supplies and equipment, but the bank won't let you access it. Your suppliers now only accept real dollars, not the worthless numbers frozen in your account. You close the cafe, you fire your employees, you lose everything you built. This isn't a recession. It's not even a financial crisis. It's a betrayal, and people know it. The banks took people's life savings and gambled them on a government that was already bankrupt. And when the gamble failed, they locked the doors and said, sorry, your money's gone. But people didn't accept it quietly. Bassam's story didn't end with his arrest. He was released days later without charges. The bank dropped the lawsuit. He walked out to crowds celebrating him as a hero. And then, something remarkable happened. People realized they could do the same thing. Just 3 days after Bassam's heist, a woman named Sally Hafez walked into a blom bank in Beirut. She needed $13,000 for her 22-year-old sister's brain cancer treatment. The family had already sold everything they owned, furniture, jewelry, electronics, but it wasn't enough. So Sally brought a toy gun, one she'd seen her nephews playing with, and a bottle of what looked like gasoline. She poured it on a bank employee and live-streamed the whole thing on Facebook. She got the money. She escaped through a smashed window before police arrived. Crowds outside cheered. That same day, another man stormed a bank in LA with an unloaded shotgun. He got $30,000 of his own money and turned himself in. By the end of the week, there were at least 7 bank heists across Lebanon, all by depositors trying to get their own money back. An activist group called the Depositors Outcry Association started organizing these raids. At a press conference, their leader said, "Yes, it was premeditated, and we'll orchestrate more." Banks responded by closing branches for 3 days. They installed bulletproof glass, metal detectors, armed guards. But you can't protect against desperation, not when millions of people realize the same truth. They've been robbed, and no one is coming to help them. So who did this? Start with Riyad Salameh. For 30 years, he ran Banque du Liban, Lebanon's central bank. He designed the financial engineering schemes. While the country collapsed, he became one of the richest men in Lebanon. Today, he's under investigation in 5 countries: France, Germany, Luxembourg, Switzerland, and Lebanon, for embezzlement and money laundering exceeding $300 million. But he didn't act alone. Lebanese politicians enabled it, protected it, because they benefited. Corruption was systemic. Public funds disappeared. Accountability was a joke. And the banks? They weren't innocent. They knew the government was broke. They knew the system was unsustainable. But as long as they made profits, as long as the music played, they kept dancing. But here's the bigger truth. Lebanon didn't collapse because of a few bad actors. It collapsed because an entire system was built on borrowed time. A country living beyond its means, borrowing from tomorrow to pay for today, hoping the bill would never come due. But it did. The IMF has offered bailout programs. International lenders propose reforms, restructure the banks, pass transparency laws, prosecute corruption, and unify the exchange rate. But every time a deal gets close, Lebanese politicians sabotage it. Because real reform means losing power, losing money, admitting guilt, and they're not willing to do any of those things. So nothing changes. The crisis drags on. Recovery is technically possible, but it requires political will that Lebanon doesn't have. It requires rebuilding trust that no longer exists. And in the meantime, people like Bassem, people who did everything right, who saved and planned and believed, suffer the most. You might think, I don't live in Lebanon, this doesn't affect me. But here's the thing, Lebanon's collapse didn't happen overnight. The warning signs were there for years. Mounting debt, politicians avoiding hard choices, a financial system that looked safe but was built on sand. And people ignored it. Because the banks looked solid, because life seemed normal, because it was easier to believe the promises than face the truth. Money is trust. That's all it really is. The cash in your wallet, the numbers in your bank account, they only have value because you trust the system behind them. And when that trust breaks, the value disappears. So ask yourself, how transparent is your bank, your government, your central bank? Are they mixing public debt with private deposits? Are they gambling with your future to solve today's problems? Because Lebanon's lesson is simple and brutal. When institutions choose short-term fixes over long-term stability, when they choose lies over truth, the people who pay the price aren't the ones who built the lie. They're the ones who believed it. This isn't just Lebanon's story. Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Argentina, the pattern repeats. I broke down Venezuela's collapse, how inflation hit 1,000,000% and an entire economy became worthless. The warning signs were the same. The betrayal was the same. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe. More stories like this are coming. Thanks for watching.